Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I cannot believe that we are here in November. I cannot believe it. Please type in the chat your name because I'm so excited that you have joined us. And as usual, this is the favorite part of my week is when I get to pop in here and meet all of you guys. And by the way, thank you all so much for the love for the podcast. It has given me so much energy and momentum to get the best guests for you. I'm talking no BS conversations, people who represent the diversity of the founders that we have here and people who are flipping the script on, your usual what experts look like. And so when I'm thinking about who to interview next, I want to make sure that I am highlighting and elevating voices who are people who are expert in their field, but maybe haven't given the platform to really be out there. And so that's what I'm looking for is I want to make sure that the people who I interview are not just your typical people that you see on every podcast, on every panel. So that's really important for me. Hi, Daryl. How are you? So last week we had the pleasure of having Dr. Greta Anderson on our podcast. She is an incredible PR Starter Pack member. She is one of the few Black women who is like a pro top golf instructor and also has her PhD in education. She is a true unicorn. And if you haven't listened to the episode, go to gloriachowpr.com/podcast. And by the way, if you rate and review the podcast, you'll be able to be entered to win a one-on-one pitch writing session. Also, this past Monday, we welcomed the new PR Starter Pack members into our community with a welcome call by Margot Lushing, who is on episode 1. She writes for Forbes, Brit & Co., San Francisco Chronicle, House Beautiful, Brides, and Refinery 29. And people left the call feeling so confident about how to pitch. They got to ask her all of the questions on what the editor and writer actually wants to see in a pitch. And so if you are in the starter pack, go into your portal. You'll be able to watch the replay. And I cannot wait for you to see all of the gems that Margot shared with us as someone who writes about getting into a gift guide or a product guide. So this is huge. And by the way, it is not too late to get into a product guide. By the way, she said that her Forbes editor still hasn't tasked her yet with writing it. So if you are at all thinking about getting into a gift guide or a product guide, which means more eyeballs, more revenue, and being able to maximize the biggest shopping season of this entire year, then check out the PR Starter Pack. I have all of the media lists for you. I have plug and play pitches, and you'll be able to access the call with Margot, and that is at prstarterpack.com. So what we're going to do today is we have a new episode out every Monday. This Monday, if you have tuned in, then you would already know that the episode is with the one and only I like to call him one of my childhood friends, but he is also a celebrity publicist, a TikTok influencer, a queer Muslim unicorn, and a confidence coach, Amir Yaas. So he is he's blowing up on all the social media. He's so funny. And for a lot of the people who have been in this Facebook group in a while, you actually saw that me and him went live last year and he was dropping so many gems. So it was so nice to have him actually on the podcast. I'm going to actually play a part of it as usual. Go rate and review the podcast so that you can be subscribed and that you know exactly when the next episode drops. We have such an exciting lineup of incredible founders, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and I'm actually getting on a call right after this to record another episode. So if you rate and review the podcast and subscribe, you'll be the first to know when an episode drops every single Monday. And again, that is gloriachowpr.com/podcast. But first, before we do that, I just wanted to share some wins that we have in the Facebook group. Y'all are my people. And I'm always so happy to see that our Facebook community they're just doing incredible things, right? So we had Jenny Hackworth, who just joined the PR Starter Pack, and she basically about 75% through the Starter Pack, she joined Haro, and then she actually found out that her tiny little jewelry company was going to be featured in one of their gift guides. So think about all of the eyeballs and revenue and the fact that you can save a lot of money on ads, right? So that is a win. I also did a VIP day with Dion Kennedy, who is a PR Starter Pack member. He did a whole VIP day with me to announce the fact that he has secured a partnership with the government of Massachusetts to help them with their retail revitalization plan. So this is huge, right? It's a huge media opportunity for him. And we spent the entire day this past week on Wednesday to write his entire press announcement, his press release. And so If you ever want to know more about that, contact Dion. We also welcome Tamara Hartley, who is an actor, and she is going to be doing a one-on-one pitch writing session with me. So I am so excited about all of these amazingly diverse founders who are a part of our PR Starter Pack community, who are pitching for gift guides and who are leveling up. So that's that. And then now, without further ado, I will play a little bit from the episode with me and Amir about how to deal with judgment, how to deal with haters, because Amir gets actually like death threats all the time, and he had to be able to learn to not only deal with haters but overcome his own self-hatred, as well as to use that trauma and as fuel to elevate and inspire other people, which is what he's doing now. So I'm going to start to share the screen, and then we can play this. I am so excited for this, and then we'll probably stop it and do a little bit of a Q&A. Excited for this special episode. We have the one and only Amir Yaas. He is a TikTok influencer, a former celebrity publicist, and a confidence coach. But most importantly, he is one of my nearest and dearest childhood friends. So welcome to the show, Amir. I am so happy you're here.
Hi, Glow. I'm so happy to be here, y'all.
So, I've seen you, grow and evolve, and obviously you've seen me build my business. I've known you since we were 13, 14 years old. A lot of life has happened, right? And one of the things that I respect most about you is how you're able to not only overcome the traumas and the doubt that you have in yourself, but basically make people feel so seen, heard, and valued. And that's really what I do in kind of a different way, but you do it through your video content, through humor. So tell me a little bit about like your journey and why you decided to basically shine a light on other people.
I think for me, there was this journey of coming out as a queer man in a very conservative family. I think that really starts to kind of color the way you operate. And I had a lot of self-hatred, a lot of doubt. And I think that when I started to like realize I could make people laugh at a very young age, I realized, wow, that's power, right? Comedy is power. So I started talking about topics I wanted to talk about. Either it was like femme bashing, body shaming, homophobia, racism, whatever. But if I use humor, people would listen, right? Like I have a video right now on TikTok that's doing really well about the abortion ban in Texas, and people are listening because it's funny. They're not listening because I'm saying anything new. You can watch CNN. I always tell people, I'm not CNN. I will make you laugh, but I'm not CNN. So like that's the power in comedy.
So obviously, like you've heard the saying that a lot of comedians had to basically self-heal themselves through comedy, right? So that's what you have done. So, obviously being out there in the world and maybe sometimes being an outcast, right? As a queer Muslim, as someone that, so like walk me through a little bit about how, like just from the mindset shifts, you went from feeling like you were alone and wanting to just hide in the closet, literally and figuratively, to being out in the world now and being on TikTok and being on podcasts and being on TV. What does that require of you?
Well, I always thought I was like living in an echo chamber and I was the only one with imposter syndrome. And then I realized if Michelle Obama has imposter syndrome, the rest of us have it too. So I think that anyone that has told me imposter syndrome is not real are generally cisgendered white men with privilege. So I think the rest of us, you have to do that. You have to get past that. And for me, like when I'm in rooms pitching a project and they say, oh, Amir, can you get coffee for everyone, thinking I'm a nobody? That it confirms the imposter syndrome. But what I've realized in those moments, I have an alter ego. Amir Yaas shows up and he's like, honey, get your own coffee. I'm here to pitch you $1 million business. So that's when like he jumps in and kind of protects me. So I always recommend everyone have an alter ego. If Beyonce does it, the rest of us can do it too. It really helps to protect me. It's like it creates a psychological wall where people can't penetrate, with the hate messages and etc. People really try to affect me. And I'm like, honey, you're not going to dim my light. You're just going to increase it because let me turn on my ring light and let's go. Like you're not going to dim my light. Not today.
It's amazing how you alchemize all of the hatred that you get into something. Like you literally would go through your DMs and like read them out loud. I mean, that is reclaiming your power. And I think for a lot of small businesses, not only do they not feel like they have the time or resources to really like put themselves out there from a PR point of view, or even in a pitch room, right? What steps can small businesses take to feel more confident when they do feel like they are a level below some of these big companies?
Absolutely. And I don't want people to look at my Instagram or my TikTok and think I'm still a human being. I'm not a robot. I had a jewelry business with my sister and we were a small business. And, when you start, you got to love your own ish, right? You got to love your stuff. You got to be so into it. I love all of my videos, even if they get 7 views or 14 million. I don't really care because for me, I enjoy what I put out there. So as a small business, if you make beautiful jewelry, enjoy it, own it. And if someone says, you're not going to make any money at that, okay, thanks. Just internalize the fact that they're coming from their own hatred, their own lost dreams. So don't let people affect you, especially when you're a small business. When I first posted on TikTok about you're so old, it's not funny. All of those people are eating crow because, honey, I take up space on the app and they can't deny that I do, right? They can't run away from it. So if you're a small business, promote yourself, go to the farmers markets, like tell your friends and tell your family. But remember, if they give you advice, it's not that important. You're doing your thing. You're doing something they'll never do, is following their dreams. A lot of people, they become accountants and doctors and lawyers. Nothing wrong with that, but that is the safe route. Being creative, doing your own business, being an entrepreneur is the road less traveled. So keep that in mind.
Oh, all right, y'all. That I just wanted to stop it there because it was so inspiring. As we often get a lot of feedback from our family on what we should do, but Amir just said it right there. Is like when we become entrepreneurs, we are taking the road less traveled, and we're doing something that they'll never do, which is following our dreams. And so, if you ever felt like maybe you should have taken the easy path, or wouldn't it be so much nicer if you just stayed in the safe lane, remember what Amir said, because he had to overcome so much hatred, not only from the outside world but also even not being accepted by his family, to being a force of positive change. I mean, he gets messages from around the world telling how people have lives have been changed by him. And you can't put a price tag on that, that he is basically rewriting the script of what it means to be a queer Muslim man in America, or even what it means to be a modern person, a modern, millennial, what that looks like, and the different spaces you can occupy. So for anyone that has any questions, type it in the box. I love, love, love being able to share these everyday heroes really with you, people who represent the inner light in all of us after they've really worked on themselves and like done the work. And so that is why it was so important to have Amir on the podcast. Now, if you want to listen to the whole episode, go to gloriachaupierre.com/podcast, rate and review, and listen. And I cannot wait for next Monday. We're going to drop a new episode. It's going to be a solo episode, and it's going to be called The 5 Things You Need to Stop Doing Right Now if you want to get featured. I cannot wait to drop that one. I cannot wait for you to listen to it. And as always, thank you so much for subscribing, for listening, for being here. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Until next time, guys, have a great, great weekend.